which is kind of crazy. I just turned 28 on Monday, so it's crazy that this is my 10th year in the business. Time sure does fly by. And
you started immediately at 18.
Pretty much, yeah. So I did a.
Welcome to the Small Towns Big People podcast. My name is Joe and I'm here with Kyle in this sweet ride limo, ready to talk business, life, and anything else that comes up.
We're going around the Midwest looking for small town people who are doing great things. We hope listening to these guests will encourage, inspire, and motivate you to do something great within your town.
Hope you enjoy our next guest.
Morning, everybody. We're back with another podcast here with Holly and Austin. The Solomon Group, they are real estate agents here in Wausau, Wisconsin. And I do a lot of stuff with Holly and Austin. I think he's in charge. Or is Holly in charge? I don't know. I'm not really sure. But you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you got started, and
who's in charge?
What you're doing?
Well, I would say Austin's kind of the team lead.
I'm the team lead, but Holly does a lot of the back end work. So a lot of the decisions she takes care of. I probably do some more of the high level stuff, but yeah.
So it's like Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm in charge, right? Yep. You sure are.
I don't know Guardians.
Oh no, really? Well, that's your homework.
There we go. A little light watching or reading.
Oh.
But
well,
yeah,
I
can go first. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Austin Solomon, we have a team, the Solomon Group, Coldwell Banker, and a little bit about me. So I've been in the business. This is year 10 now, which is kind of crazy. I just turned 28 on Monday, so it's crazy that this is my 10th year in the business. Time sure does fly by. And
you started immediately at 18.
Pretty much, yeah. So I did a semester of college. And then I was like, I can add in real estate. So right after that first semester of college, I jumped in.
Well,
Yep.
Awesome.
And so yeah, we're excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm Holly Hedinga. I've been with Austin. What has it been? About 6 or 7 years? Yeah, that's been a long time. I got started with him in 2018, and then I was just working full time as his assistant and working 70 hours a week maybe, and got burnt out.
he's a slave driver.
Well, I did, and I took about a 9-10 months away from him, and then I came back and have been back ever since. And I mean, it'd be hard to picture myself doing something different. I think I'm back for good at this point, but never say never if he works me too hard. But my background is I worked for a home builder in the Twin Cities. I don't know if you actually know this, Joe, but when I graduated from Stout online, I was working for D.R. Horton in the Twin Cities, and they're the largest home builder in the U.S. actually. They only build in Tier 1 cities, so there's no cities in Wisconsin that
we're
they
not
build
Tier
in.
1.
No, we're not Tier 1 here, but so that was it was a really good learning experience, and I was there for a little over a year, and then Austin had recruited me back, and I'm thinking, I kind of worked for a big corporation. I'm like, you're not going to keep me busy. This isn't going to be what I wanted to do, but it was actually busier, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot to do here, and it's worked out really, really good ever since. I think we've learned a lot as a team. There's been a lot of changes, I think, over the course of those years that we've been in the business, but I think ultimately we enjoy the work, and it's different every month, every year, so it kind of has some good variation that way too. So
okay, just to clarify, you guys are brother and sister, right?
Yeah.
Because you're talking to each other kind of like maybe that's not true, and I thought that was true, but
yeah.
Okay.
Get along.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Here, I'll get
Also strange.
Yeah.
get a little hot here.
Oh, good.
So Austin also did one of the weirdest things in the whole world is he put his seatbelt on in a limo.
Yeah.
You don't need a seatbelt in a limo.
Yeah, I was going to too. I thought we were cruising
I gotta
around.
put this up. My wife though always puts a seatbelt on in a limo.
That's
Always.
Is it really
drives
not a
me
requirement?
No. I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I'm not really sure. But it's like nobody does, except my wife and Austin.
there you go.
That's funny. Okay. So I am a little bit confused about how groups work at Coldwell Banker, because apparently this is a thing that happens a lot. There's several different groups at this Coldwell Banker that I know of.
Mhm.
I don't understand. Can you explain what this is?
Yeah. So essentially, a group is you have agents that are working together. Obviously, same goal to help people buy and sell, and with one agent, right, you're a little bit limited to everything's kind of on you, right? So one of the nice things about being as part of a group, we each have different skill sets. Holly's, with her background in the marketing, right, we use a lot of those skills marketing the homes, right, getting the professional photography, videography, and advertising the homes. So that's something I'm not as skilled at. It takes more energy for me to sit down and like do a write-up and try to market a home, and Holly's really good at that. So kind of using each other's skill sets and to create a better like system, better process. And then also just having additional help too with, we help a lot of people buy and sell, and similar to you guys, where sometimes you have call volume that goes up for tenants, right? Sometimes call volume goes down. So kind of having the infrastructure to be able to help the people when not have like a lapse in service when the calls go up, so we can kind of service the people. So essentially you have agents that are working together, very similar to if they were working on their own, but now they're working with a team and kind of collaborating. And yeah.
So is there a legal requirement for you to call yourself a group? Because I don't hear Remax Excel creating groups of realtors, and I don't hear like
There's teams
Exit
within those.
Realty. Are there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
there
a
are.
standard thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
There
I
are
don't know.
teams.
So, in your guys' particular setup, are you a broker, Austin, or do you?
I'm not, no.
Okay, so you're under a managing broker
Yep.
and then as a team lead.
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah, other firms do have teams. I
Yeah.
think there are kind of two kinds of teams. And in bigger areas, I think you have more of what our team is like, where you have a team lead, agents, and then a couple of like staff roles, listing coordinator, transaction coordinator. That would be kind of a maybe even a closing coordinator. So those would like be some staff roles.
Yeah.
Other teams might just be agents. So it might be like, hey, there's 3 agents. We are working together on a team.
Yeah.
We actually don't have those other
Right.
roles.
So I guess my question is, why don't you just call yourself Caldwell Banker? Why do you call yourselves the Solomon Group?
Yeah. So we have to, because we're not a broker, we need to like market underneath
Mm-hmm.
the
Coldwell.
franchise in Coldwell Banker, and there's still a lot of benefits with working with like the brokerage Coldwell
Mhm.
Banker. So we have a lot of the obviously at the office space. There's additional support staff that work for the company, and we focus primarily on like helping people buy and sell, and they kind of help us and have the infrastructure to help us do that. So of course, like if we wanted to, we could do our own thing, but we feel like the value is just having more time to
Mm-hmm.
spend with clients.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have to hit a certain like sales number to create a group under Caldwell, or is it just people, whoever wants to get together, give themselves a name and start marketing it?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of flexibility in the real estate
Yeah.
business. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Within your guys' team, do you? Because I know it can be done however you want to do it, but do you? So is it essentially like you've negotiated terms with the broker, and then you negotiate terms within everybody in the team for production, or how do you guys go about that aspect of it for compensation, for leads, for the actual nitty-gritty business side of stuff?
Yeah. Well, I would say yeah. So we kind of allocate the different leads that come in, and so that each team member kind of has the opportunity to work hard for their clients, right? And that come in, and then yeah, we were kind of set up where there's kind of like a sharing, of the commissions and the sales between the agents.
Yeah, because I know I've talked to a lot of agents that would be great in a team if they had the opportunity,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
not so great with sellers, or maybe they're not so
Yeah.
great with buyers and they don't like that, but they're great with sellers, or vice versa.
Yep.
So I do see the benefit of where that would come, but I think the confusing part for especially new agents is there's no rules for those teams, and there are some bad teams out there that don't share leads, that don't really have benefit to that new agent,
Yeah.
but take half their commission, or whatever that structure is. And
Yep.
I've talked to people that have those horror stories. That's why I'm kind of curious how your guys' setup is, and
Yep.
what you do to attract those other team members into your team.
Well, I think Austin does a good job, but I kind of help too when we bring on someone new. We do really try to like train them, and sometimes what happens is they end up like, you know, kind of learning a lot, and sometimes they'll go out on their own, or I mean that can happen in any business, but that's just kind of how it goes. But
Yep.
we do really invest a lot into them, so they are learning. They also like can run things past us, you know. I don't know how many contracts you've written or this or that, like just having someone like look over it. Austin's not a broker, but kind of just the knowledge of like, hey, could you look this over? This is kind of difficult. So they feel a little bit more confident, or even just dialoguing something before you have the conversation with the client. So I think it kind of sets the newer agents up for success. It's really hard. I think
It's a
in
tough
this
business
market,
to-
it's hard to be a new agent.
Yep.
It is. I think it's like if you're like, hey, I want to get my license tomorrow and jump into the business, I think it's a tough time to get in.
Yep.
Back in 2018 was a great time to get in, because there were so many people buying that, you know, and there was a lot of opportunity to get under you could show a buyer maybe 2-3 properties and get one under contract that quick.
Well, and I think it's always a hard time to be a real estate agent if you're not ready for it. And that's where I think the newer agents do benefit, from my perspective of a team, is they have accountability with something, where if the broker just says, yeah, sign up, here you go, they come to a meeting on Monday and do your thing, this is how we do it.
Yep.
Well, I can go to the golfing, I can go fishing, I can go hunting, but I'm not sitting at my desk making phone calls or following up or showing houses. So the team accountability is awesome, and if they do leave your team, that says a lot for you if they're out there doing something successful, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a pretty awesome thing to see somebody succeed that you taught and helped.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's been kind of a perspective shift too, is like, you know, as we've kind of grown in our business, we've, you know, I think there was kind of a shift in like probably 2021 where that was really kind of our biggest year in the business. And then, you know, kind of personally kind of it just kind of came to a spot where I knew that like real estate was functioning too much for me. Like I was deriving too much worth and satisfaction out of the business and success. And so kind of really, you know, seeing that as like being an idol in my life, right? And then wanting to kind of course correct has really been a big thing for our team. So so I think seeing the opportunity to work with the team members and you know, help clients and be like, okay, well, even if we're helping out a team member and hey, they end up wanting to do a different career, or if maybe they do want to go do their own thing, it's like, well, maybe they did learn a few things from being on the team and we're able to kind of see, you know, be invested in or poured into.
That's a pretty big realization for 25, 26, and 21, somewhere in there.
So like 3-4 years ago. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big aha moment
Yeah.
for someone so at that age.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome.
Yep. Yeah, and I think like Holly alluded to too, it's like, well, when I started in the business at 18, I don't think there's many good leaders that are 19, 20, 21 years old. Like you just, you know, so for Holly,
That's
I mean,
because 18, 19, 20-year-olds are idiots.
so
There's
so I had made a lot of mistakes with Holly, and kind of as I learned, of course, like, you know, you learn things, and I think obviously made a lot of mistakes, like learned some things the hard way.
It was kind of funny though, like, I mean, we'd come in and Austin would be like, hey, like, why don't you just do these things? It's like zero training. And then like fast forward like whatever, a couple of years, I'm like, wow, like he is really like doing a great job with these like new hires. I'm like, I got like a lick of training. But it's funny because I'm just really observant. I just like listen. I just listen to what he's doing and just like learn. That's how I learn. I just kind of like would listen to calls and like, oh yeah, I could do that. I'll just say that same thing.
Yeah. It's funny.
That's awesome that you got to be the guinea pig for, for Austin.
Yeah, I think about 2 months into the business, I assumed that Holly should know everything that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was not right.
It's pretty funny though when you think back.
It's
But you're
really
like,
bad,
Holly,
yeah.
like go out and you're like, gonna go out and find your own buyers. I'm like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do?
Oh man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. She should have known what she was doing after 2 months. Yeah, it should have been accepted. I mean, after a week of training with me, they should be ready.
They should be perfect.
Yeah,
Should have all
and I
the
shouldn't really have to
intuitions.
train. All I should do is tell you to read my process, and now we're done.
Yeah.
Like, there's no more training needed.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you got started when you're 18
Yeah.
as a real estate agent. What's the investment into becoming a real estate agent? What did you have to put into it? What did you have to do to set up this little thing initially? You know, long-term, ongoing. Do you have more stuff that you got to keep investing in other than people that you've already talked about?
You want to take that one?
Yeah. It's a relatively low barrier to entry to get into real estate. I mean, in terms of getting your license, most agents do the WRA. It's a 72-hour online course. I mean, it doesn't take 3 days. No one's doing it like that. But it could take you a couple of months to take the coursework. Then you'll take a state license exam, you know, like a proctored exam somewhere. I think they actually do it at NTC back when we did it.
They used to do it here.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That was a long time ago.
Okay. Well, it's nice that there's a local option because I mean we had to go to like Madison or Green Bay. But anyhow, after you get that done, that's pretty much just you're pretty much understanding ethics and the legal requirements of the business. There's nothing tactical in there like how to be successful. So, you know, you're one step in, but I think the harder step is once you actually get into it. Then you're like you said, what do you do with your time? How can you manage that? How can you actually be diligent enough to get business and not be like, hey, I'm actually free every day and let me do my personal things and maybe fit real estate in a couple hours a week. It's like that's not enough to get started. What was the second part of that question, John?
Well, just barriers to entry, and there isn't many, is what you're saying. But what about now? Like once you're established, other than having to, you know, bring in more teams on and spending your time there, what other things are you investing in for your business, or is it kind of just roll now?
No, I think it takes a good, I would say after 3 years, like after 3 years of like working pretty hard, then you might start to see like, hey, I'm getting a couple of referrals from people I've worked with, and that might come a little bit sooner, but it takes a little bit of time for it to feel easier, or like, hey, I worked with Joe and he referred someone he knew to me, like that was really nice because I didn't have to maybe spend a couple hours a week to try to prospect and find someone. You know, I got a referral that way. So I think it takes a couple of years. I think the hardest barrier to entry for someone switching from another field, because we have a lot of people that switch from maybe they're a teacher or whatever, is foregoing, you know, a W-2 income to be commission based. That's pretty hard, and you have to be somewhat diligent to set aside like, hey, maybe 6 months, a year of income, and be like, hey, I'm going to work hard. Have that set aside, but not be like strapped and be like, okay, after 6 months I need to find another job. That's what a lot of people do. Didn't you tell me that the hardest year is that first year, and a lot of people that first year will end up getting another part-time job. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but then you're just cutting your time in half. It's nice if you have a spouse or someone that maybe has a income, so it's like, hey, I can do this and get established while we're like okay.
So it's not an upfront cost. It's a learning cost or whatever you want to call that, but it takes that time, and you may not eat for the first year.
Yeah. I think mentally that's really hard though, to show up and put in the work and know like, hey, I'm not going to get paid for 6 months.
Mhm.
But I think that's like really hard to
Yep.
do. But you're right, it's not the upfront cost. It's relatively inexpensive upfront.
Well, even once you're established, I know a lot of people struggle that I've talked to with everything I do today. Even if I put together a cash deal, I'm not getting paid for 3-4 weeks, and then I got to do all that work for free, and then it doesn't close and I don't get paid. And that mental hurdle of working for free is tough to expand on. You know, not just the 6 months, but I can put in 40 hours with a buyer and never get $1 for it, and that's a hard hurdle to jump for a lot of people that come off of a W-2. I show up, I get paid. Now I work a lot, and I might not get paid.
Yeah.
But anybody with the mentality of, you know what, I got to get my money now, I can't wait a little bit, never is going to get ahead. Never is going to get past that phase, but in anything that you want to do, right? If you're trying to do something more than just work for somebody else, you can't have that attitude. So, you know, maybe that was the best thing for you. You never, you know, you started right out of high school. You didn't even have to get an attitude of like, oh, I'm working for this guy, like getting my paycheck. I just started. I got no money. I don't have any money. I've never had money. So it was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, and that was one thing. So when I had gotten into the business, right, there was probably a few things that kind of worked to my advantage. So one of them was that when I was younger, I had done a lot of door-to-door sales. So I was a DC Everest grad. I sold those baseball cards, and they're like $20 tickets, but they actually had some great incentives. So what people don't know is like each year I'd sold around 100, 120 of those cards. Well, that probably requires you to knock on, I don't know for sure, but it's probably somewhere between 800 and 2,000 doors. And so you think about all the interactions that you have with people. And like that's just one small thing where it's like, okay, that experience for a couple years, right? You interact with a lot of people. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I started a lawn care business. Kind of same thing, just knocked on the neighbor's doors, said, hey, you know, do you need any services done, raking, you know, fall cleanup, spring cleanup, stick removal, stuff like that. So by the time I had started in business, I had already owned the lawn care business. Granted, it was fairly small, but it grew to be semi-decent. So I'd ran that for 4 years. So when you jump into real estate, you're like, obviously, when you're running your own lawn care business, nothing's coming to you. You have to go get it pretty much. And so same thing with real estate. I kind of took that same mindset where it's like, okay, I'm starting my own business. I want to work hard. I have to go out and kind of work hard and kind of prove myself. And I think that's where that mindset was, just kind of is what helped.
Yeah, you never worked for a union.
Yeah.
Never ruined your attitude.
Yeah, and the other thing that was kind of interesting too was when I had gotten into the business, there was only one other young real estate agent that was probably under 25 at that point in the area. So everyone else was older, and for the most part probably 40 plus. And so I was one of the first young agents in the real estate business in the Wausau area, which I think people like a good story, and for some reason people kind of gravitated towards this young new agent in the business that's doing well. And so I think there's a lot of things I think we're really fortunate, like, you know, in timing too. I mean, 2015, 2016 was the best time to get into the real estate market. That was just as things were picking up. So there's just a lot of things that worked out, that we're fortunate.
Well, and you are definitely the minority in real estate, right? You're male, which is what, 30% of it, all agents or members of NAR are male.
I've never paid attention to that.
And
I didn't know
then
that.
the average age of a NAR member is 63.
Okay.
So if you're under 40 and you're a dude in real estate, you are like a minuscule minority of realtors across the nation.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Makes you memorable.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch to finances. How do you guys keep track of the money? Do you use some accounting software? Do you use how do you make sure the right people get the right money?
That's a good question. I'm kind of in charge of the money.
Our system has gotten a lot better, but Holly has really done a good job on that, and we've kind of really have streamlined that over the last couple years.
Yeah.
Which has been great.
We kind of just track. I mean, we track everything from money coming in from all the closings. I mean, the office kind of helps a little bit too with the like accounting software. I'm not an accountant, so I mean, I have a little bit of like knowledge in that area, but not, you know, in great detail. But you know, we kind of just like cross-check everything with the office. Sometimes there's small errors or this or that, but we just basically are looking over everything, and then just like scheduled deposits. And we have an accountant that works for a third party that kind of like will look over everything, and he's really a huge asset to us because from like a tax perspective and this and that, we're not making those decisions in-house. We're kind of leaning on his guidance for that. But probably we don't like, I don't spend a lot of time doing like projections.
No.
I don't know. I probably compared to other businesses that are maybe more like staff heavy, they might be like, okay, like let's make sure that, you know, income is gonna like meet like, you know, the expenses or operations. But for our business, I don't spend a ton of time doing that because the market fluctuates so much that it's hard to, like last year, for example, Q1 was down, but then we caught up in Q2. Like, I mean, it's like, does it really matter? I don't know.
Do you guys budget for like marketing and ad spend and all that stuff consistently, or do you does that fluctuate as well with the market?
We set budgets at the beginning of the year, and we do our best to like stick to them, but it's not always like perfect. Sometimes it's like we're close, but I think we at this stage we like to work with people that like we know, and kind of like word of mouth, and I mean some like might maybe more like local organic advertising versus like putting a lot of money. We do put some money into advertising, but we're not really looking to
more on the marketing of the properties. You probably spend more on marketing properties than we do like
ourselves.
Attracting clients.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm talking even like yard signs and I mean the riders and all that. That adds up, especially for any team of, like you guys have. It's pretty substantial. That can get expensive fast.
Yeah, and the office covers the signage. We have, I mean, our own riders and stuff, but a lot of that stuff is like recycled. So I would say most of that stuff we already own, and it's just like reusing. We'll eventually, I mean, we do have to like kind of re-up on like directional signage and things like that, but yeah.
Okay.
It's not. I would say we spend more on the properties marketing than.
How do you market your properties in general?
Do you want me to share? Or?
I can. I'm talking a lot, but
I can go. So in general, I mean, there's some similarities to like every real estate agent in the marketing that they do. Obviously, like, you know, just like anything, there's going to be variation in like kind of the quality and the attention to detail. So I think one of the things that Holly does well, so she takes all of the photos for our homes, and also is a licensed drone pilot. So it takes.
Wait, you need a license for that?
For
commercial use.
Yeah.
What?
It's not hard to do the course, but.
And then so she does the photos, the drone. We also do the Matterport virtual tours on most properties. If it's tenant occupied, we probably wouldn't as much, but sometimes they get a little weird about that. But but homeowner properties for the most part will do the walkthrough virtual tours, which are nice. And then obviously Holly we'll work together to come up with a write-up for the property, so it'll get put on all the different websites. There's some different things that we do. Like Holly is we're a big proponent of like social media, putting them on social media in front of our target audience. And
we spend quite a bit like doing like promoted material too.
Yeah.
So just further than organic.
Like on social media or on somewhere else?
Oh yeah, social media.
Just
sometimes like
few.
Google or YouTube, you can do like pre-roll or AdWords direct with them too.
And then there's, depending on the property, so like there's certain properties that we have different mediums to, like some paid promotions on very specific sites. So if it's like you know, if it's a property with lots of land, or if it's like a horse property or a lake property, there's some
historic homes type stuff.
certain stuff where we're gonna kind of do some more niche marketing for the house. So
None of that sounds to me like dollars out the door. That sounds to me like time. Is there
The Facebook ads
the
and
Facebook
stuff.
ads? But I mean, I guess you can spend a lot of money or not
Yep.
on the boosting. But
Yeah.
I mean, almost 90% of what you just described is just time, isn't it?
yes and no. So some of we also do, obviously, on the commercial side, we do some commercial, which, you know, so those are going to be more of paid promotion, so you have to pay.
It's pretty costly.
It's pretty costly.
For like LoopNet, CoStar.
Yeah, and then there's also, like I say, there's some where we have, we're going to pay to promote our homes on some other sites, and we, you know, we'll pay a monthly fee, which is pretty costly.
Other than the MLS, does the MLS cost you too?
Yes.
Or does that come through Caldwell?
Yeah, that costs you as well. Yep.
It costs Caldwell too.
Yeah, it
It
does.
costs
Yeah.
everybody.
The broker and then the agents have to
Yep.
pay for
The
it.
MLS is getting it from everybody.
Yeah, it's nice, obviously, like, so and even like Matterport, like so for example, if someone were just to say, okay, we want to, there's probably some more cost-effective options, right? The stuff that we do, like we have like kind of the Primo camera, right?
You pay to host.
You pay to host. So that if you do things at scale, right, similar probably in your business, right, you do things at scale, then it makes sense. But if someone were to be like, hey, I want to replicate this, right, you would need, you know, it's kind of like if you were to replicate like a stump grinding service for the 5 stumps that are in your yard, right? Well, to buy a stump grinder like that and to do the work, it's like that's pretty expensive. So similar, like here we have all the equipment, like we have the system and the process, so it's because at scale it's not too bad like per property, but if someone just had like 1 or 2 homes, it could get pretty expensive.
Okay.
Do you guys, well, completely off topic. This is just not even on here. What is your personal opinions on NAR?
I haven't been. Honestly,
yeah.
I
not
haven't.
not
been
even the lawsuit, just NAR in general, and
National
Yep.
Realtors Association.
I mean, can I go first?
Go ahead.
'Cause
Yeah.
I think I want your answer to be similar to mine.
Okay.
Since we are on video, so I think that, so I think I can speak for both of us that there's certain things that I'm probably gonna be more invested in, right? NAR is probably not one of them. So there's certain things that I'm probably going to spend more time, energy, and effort. So I don't feel like I know enough about them to give an accurate assessment. So, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a use for like the national organizations, but similar to like NAR, like the federal government. Like if I was interested in getting involved, I would get involved in Marathon County.
Mhm.
Like I would rather be local than like involved in like this big machine that I think like you can just have a bigger impact like locally. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, local business owners, this and that. I think that there's just more that you can do.
See, I like your answer, and I agree with you both 100%. I hate NAR. I hate forced membership because we don't have a local impact. We don't have the benefits back in the communities that we're working in. I love the WRA. I love the local RENWs and the different memberships. They do great things in the communities. I hate NAR.
So is NAR a required thing you have to be a part of?
Well, a portion of your dues goes to them automatically. I think.
You cannot be a member of a local realtors association or an MLS unless you're a member of NAR. So it's not required, but to get the local stuff, it is required to join that as well. Just off topic, I just wanted to pick
sure.
other realtors' brains on
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Okay, let's move to budgets. How do you guys budget for the year? What's your process? How do you do it?
Well, I think, so again, it's a little bit, we're probably not a great example of this because, so we're at a spot where like, we're at a very fortunate spot in our business where we pay attention, but we're not trying to like maximize things anymore. So we know that like if I wanted to go out and increase our business 25% in the next quarter, I could do that. But it would be very costly to my personal life and Holly's personal life. So you kind of get to a spot where you're like, hey, there's a balancing out, right? So, so it's been an adjustment. So Holly's a new mom, which is really exciting. I'm a new uncle, which is exciting, and so I think that.
Yeah, but Holly, to be fair, Holly took like 7 hours off, I think. Maybe 7 hours. I'm not even sure it was that. I think she was signing a contract when the baby was coming out. From everything I've heard, and like, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be gone for like 2 months, and then like, didn't you just have a baby? Yeah, I needed something to do.
Well, that's because I'm like, she's gonna be late, and I'm gonna make it to that closing, but then
Yeah.
she came early.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was still there.
Yeah, you were.
She was about a week and a half old.
Yeah, it was not very long.
You went to the closing?
Yes.
I did.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, that was Travis's cousins that bought that place.
Oh,
so
got
that's
it.
good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow.
But yeah, so I think like to answer the question, so like we're at a spot where we want to provide good service to people, right? Like we're gonna work hard for people, and obviously like we're still hustling, like we're still hustling. Like we're still putting a lot of effort into the business, right? Like when between the hours of like 8 to 6, like we're still working really hard, right? It's just now it's like okay, there's just a little bit of shift where it's like still we're gonna put in some extra time, but kind of our priority is like, okay, we don't need to maximize this, right? We don't need to get everything that we can out of it. Like we're just okay, we're content to like help the people that we can help, and obviously we want to do well, but
He sounds like he writes a budget like you read a budget.
That was a non-answer answer.
I know it was a very political. You could run for political office, I think, with that answer. That was a very
roundabout.
Yes.
So we have.
Well, Austin didn't mention this. Austin's getting married in just pretty much a week and a half.
So the budget's more important.
So the budget's gone. There is no budget.
No.
There is absolutely no budget. It's all his money is gone now.
No, but I think, because this was part of kind of the questions, we haven't gotten to it, but I think you had on here, like, how do you define success? I think a couple of years ago we would have been like, hey, let's keep doing more.
Right,
like,
yeah.
hey,
Mhm.
let's be hitting higher number of transactions, higher
Mhm.
volume. But now I don't think it's that. I think it's how can we provide a better service to the people, even though it might not be as many people, but how can we have a better process and a better service and kind of keep like the longevity of what we're doing. That's what I think it's
Yep.
kind of shifted to.
Yeah. So a budget actually has nothing to do with any of those things. A budget is simply the numbers. How do you keep the doors open? How do you keep doing whatever it is you want to do, right? Just what is the income, what is expenses, and how do you plan for that? And so do you guys actually plan for it, or are you just you're in a good spot and you don't have to worry about it right now, and you just as it comes it comes? How do you know how? I mean, you've talked about budgets already. Like advertising budget and spend on that. Like how I'm just wondering, what is the process that you guys go through every year to decide how much you're going to spend on that?
I think we just
we know what our fixed costs are.
Yeah, we kind of did like
we know there's like a reoccurring fixed costs.
Mhm.
So we do have to make a certain amount of money in order to cover the salaries on the team and then our fixed costs. So if we don't sell enough homes, we will be in the
hole.
in the hole. But we've been very fortunate. We haven't had to worry about it.
I think too, like I think like it. Yeah, we've had enough business to keep us like busy. Where it's not like we never really have been like teetering on the edge. It's been like okay, our budget is like set and we're like, I don't want to say well above, but we're not like, oh, we're like hardly making ends meet month after month. It's like, hey, we're looking good. Let's plan ahead because we know like October, November, December is gonna be slower, but we're already sitting good for the year.
So when I was gonna stop working at Liberty Mutual programming, I wrote a budget to say how much money did I need to have in income that I could stop doing that, right? So my budget, actually, I had goals and I tailored my budget to my goals and said, this is the number. So it sounds like you guys have that. It's just that it's not the goal. It sounds like your goal. So maybe you've already touched on a lot of your goals, but can you kind of be a little more specific about this work-life balance idea that you guys have come up with as far as goals go, and where do you get where do you draw those lines as far as, I want to grow my business but I want to have a personal thing? How do you define that? And then the whole team would have to, like, they'd have to be in line with what you want, right? Or is there flexibility? If someone wants to go and get it, they can still go and get it real hard, or does that not an option anymore?
Well, I would say that it's a consistent balance, right? So there's kind of this, this balancing, and I think there's sometimes where, like, this season right now is a little bit busier. So I think some seasons you're going to kind of swing on the, okay, I'm going to probably put in some more time and effort, right? But I think you have to be intentional to plan, like, time, with the family, time away. So I think a lot of intentionality. So Holly's very intentional. She wakes up very early, takes care of the most important things first thing in the morning, and which is good. And so I think just being intentional. And you do. I mean, if you're gonna, you can let this. You can, if when you do this business at a high level, you can let it become your all, and very easily people will be. It's hard when people are consistently reaching out. When you do this at a high level, right? And so you just have to be intentional to kind of create boundaries, and then again, if your goal is, if your goals are kind of too high or swayed one way, then you might have to kind of reset that. So consistently kind of reevaluating, like, okay, how am I doing?
When you reevaluate consistently, meaning every day, every week, every month, every year, every hour, whenever it just randomly you feel like you need to?
I think.
Do you have a process for that?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think just in general, like, if it's, it's a heart check, right? Like, I think it's good to be like, hey, well, like for me, like, I consistently this spring have been, hey, for some reason it feels like I enjoy the business, which is good, but again, sometimes there's other responsibilities that I have and that other people have in life, right? That you can kind of get in your lane, like, hey, this real estate's really easy, like, not really easy, like, it's a challenge, but I know that I can do it, and that feels good, right? There's other things in life that I haven't done before, right? I'm getting married, so it's easy to shy away from things that are more difficult and harder because I haven't done them, and sometimes it can be easier to do the things that are in our lane, make us feel good. But you have to be intentional to fight back on that, because if you don't, you'll just stay doing the things that you're competent in that make you feel good, and but it takes courage to do the things that are tougher.
Is there an action or an activity that you do that helps you refocus or recenter or do that?
Yeah, I mean, both Holly and I prioritize, like, our walk with the Lord, right? So we're both Christ followers, and I think that, again, we're not immune from the temptations of the world and from, all of that. So I think spending intentional time with the Lord is important, and because that has to be. I mean, otherwise it's just, yeah, you got to have that. So for me, it's like, if I'm not doing that, I can just be swayed to look like the world and act like the world, and so I just need that intentional.
Well, I think you do that too in the morning. I mean, I like to get up early because I kind of have some time alone before Joyce would get up, like a good hour, maybe hour and a half, just to have some quiet time, kind of reflect, journal. Like, I like that. You do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not quite as early, but
no, not as early, but yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah,
no,
not
wait,
yet.
just wait, it's coming.
Yeah. Yep.
Your wife is going to tell you when you're going to do it.
That's right.
No, I think, like, the key is, like, if you want to be in this business though for a long time, you do have to pace yourself, because if we don't, like, you end up pretty much burning out to the point where you have to, you know, get out, and that's not helpful either. But I think, like, relationally, like, that's been kind of the coolest thing in the business is just some of the clients that we have worked with, I'm like, wow, like, relationally, like, it's like we actually like stay, not everyone, but we stay up with them like in a kind of a deeper way that you wouldn't like think. Like just the other day, I had gotten together with a client. Her husband had passed a couple of years ago. I just wanted to get back together with her, get coffee, see like how things are going, and like we go on walks, you know, not often, but every now and again. It's like that means a lot to people, and sometimes when they are going through, sometimes it's just purely money, but sometimes these situations they're walking through something pretty tough, and to just be there. And Austin does a really good job with that, just kind of staying up with some people. I think that's like the biggest thing, that we're trying to pace ourselves to keep working with people and not to get like drowned by the drudgery of like work, but actually like enjoy that.
Yeah. And that's where I think, like Holly said, sometimes there's sales that are like, hey, we want to sell the property, right? We want to move some money around, or you know, hey, this is an investment, it's done well, time to do something different. Sometimes sales are going to be just a little bit just like, hey, there's not as much to it. But a lot of times there's going to be sales where you know, this is a family home that now, you know, mom and dad have passed away and they need to sell the property. Sometimes very recent. I mean, I've had it where people have called me to properties and, you know, mom or dad has passed away within a few days or a few weeks. You know, of course, you know, there's situations where there's split ups, right? And there's situations where someone has passed away, or, I mean, I just think a lot of times people, you know, there's a lot of hard stuff, and obviously you know that, like, everyone has their stuff, but I think we see more of that, and people will let us into that. So I think, like Holly said, if we can come alongside people in the harder times, I think that's also what kind of keeps us like more, you know, we know that there's more of a missional, there's more of a purpose behind what we're doing. I think that kind of helps too.
Okay, awesome. I'm not sure how this part of the conversation is going to go, but the residual income discussion, like getting into that, like I like residual income.
Yep.
Do you understand what residual income is? That when I say residual income?
Like more passive, or what do you think?
Passive income can be residual, yeah. It's just like you put a lot of work up front, and then it just pays you going forward, right?
Yep.
So when I was getting started, I worked at Liberty Mutual, had a good job, but like I didn't have all that time, and we wanted to do different things, and in order for me to be able to do that, I had to, I started this real estate company and bought rentals to have passive income, which isn't actually a true thing, right? Rentals aren't passive. They're still active.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because there is still, on your taxes they might say passive, but taxes, those are liars.
Sure.
Rentals are active because I have to find tenants, I have to keep the properties maintained, I have to do all that. So then I kept going, kept building, and built this rental management company to do it. But in the end, the whole point was to get more time back. And while real estate wasn't a fully residual thing, it was a very less time required thing. So I got a lot more time back when I went from my 40-hour, 50-hour a week job to my, whenever I need to be doing it job, which got closer to maybe 10 or 15 hours a week. So residual income can be done in a lot of ways. You have to have a lot of money and you put it in the stock market and they give you money back, right? You buy rentals, have a manager manage it. Those can be passive. I hear a lot of a desire to do things that are meaningful. The goal isn't to make money anymore with you guys, it sounds like. But it's still kind of a goal, but it's not really the thing. And that's the same mentality I had, but I had it with, I still want to make more money, and I still want more money coming in because then I can actually do more things, do more good, have more impact. And a lot of the things that you guys have talked about is related to relationships. And I find that maybe it's my personality or whatever, but like if I have an employee working for me, they have to listen to me. If it's just somebody we're talking to, they can just walk away. And I think I have a better impact with people that they have, like, I'm kind of abrasive and difficult sometimes.
Kinda.
But if they have to stick with me for a little period of time, we get past that point, and then it's like, okay, this is actually more meaningful, more helpful, more intentional, right? So that's where, for me, I want my business to grow passively, grow residually, and get bigger and bigger so that I have a bigger impact, bigger potential. But it doesn't actually cost me my time,
Sure.
which is where you guys are talking about.
Yep.
So I'm interested in the idea of, well, how do you think you could make what you guys do in Solomon Group residual or passive, so that you would still have more time to do the family and all that kind of stuff, but you can still continue to grow that? Is there options? Is there anything you guys have thought of? Anyways?
I think that I've thought about this, and this is like the hardest thing for me, because I kind of just like to, and you too, I like to just do the work myself. Like, hey, I trust myself, like, I know I'm going to do a good job, and you are that way too. I think as we think about that, the hardest thing is bringing on other, like, good people. It's hard to train people. Like, it's hard to transfer knowledge, and it's also hard to trust. So you bring someone on, you kind of teach them everything you know, and hopefully, like, they can help, like, balance the work and keep things growing. And you find people that are maybe more aggressive or at a stage where they want to put in more time and more work, and that's how I think you get, like, growth with keeping your time. Because right now we've struggled with, I mean, I'm happy to do it, but, like, if Austin's gone, let's just say he's off a week or two, basically I'm on, not 24/7, but it puts a big, like, stress on me. So it's kind of like balancing, like, okay, what can we do? But I think, like, if we're thinking long term, it's bringing in the right people, and transferring some of that knowledge. And our team members do a great job too. But I'm saying probably maybe like one or so more people that would be like a high level, like, admin, that they could be trusted with running the business. But it's easy with us because you said from the beginning, like, Austin, trust me, and I'm not gonna do things, I don't know, I just maybe a high level of morality. Like, we almost, like, handle situations almost identically. You know, in real estate related, which is hard to find in a business. I don't know what your experience with business partners, but, like, that's not easy to navigate.
Well, I don't like partners. I don't like partners at all. Partners are terrible.
Fly solo. Well,
I don't have
hard.
many partners at all.
Yeah.
But I work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Partner is a weird word because it can mean many things. Like, we partner with you guys. So, like, is that a partnership? I mean, no, but it is. You know, we work together. A working relationship is different than a partnership. Partnership is like being married, in my opinion. Yeah. And I don't need to be married more than once. One's enough.
It's hard.
Yep. One is good, two is bad. Yep. When you guys, when I hear, I heard a couple things, and maybe we're gonna get into the challenge part now. But I heard 10 to 6. You know, I hear 10 to 6. And I'm thinking, dang, if I had to do 10 to 6 every day, I would go nuts. I don't care what it is I'm doing.
8
but
to 6, Joe.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Rounded up to 10.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I just thought
Probably
you'd
more
sleep
like-
in more, Austin.
probably like
I don't know.
9 to 6, but yeah.
Holly's up at the 8 and you're up at the 10. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my point is that I'm just thinking, like, in my mind, I don't do that anymore. Like, I wake up and, like, if I have to put 2 hours in meetings, like, you know, I'm spent. Like, that's enough for me. I gotta do something different. And I do a lot of work related things, but I don't have any of the day to day. Like, everybody else takes care of the day to day for me, and that frees me up to do this podcast, to do other things that I feel are really important, helping people in certain ways. Like, that's a huge thing with us as well. So I'm interested in, I guess maybe I want to challenge you guys a little bit more to think more about this residual idea.
Yeah.
And how do you take what you're doing now, shrink it down to 5 hours a week?
Yeah.
The 5-hour work week, right? There's books about that. I haven't read them actually, but like it's a cool idea.
It's a great idea.
But I do that on every one of my companies. I don't actually spend more than 5 hours a week. Usually it's more like 1 or 2 hours a week on the different things that I do. But I have set up so that all the things get done. Right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
I think you will have more time to do your family thing and all that without it impacting your business.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's my challenge to you guys.
No, that's a great challenge, and that's something we've thought about too. How do you maintain that same level of service, right, without being as involved on the day to day?
Well, and I think to piggyback off the only thing that I would add to it is the hardest thing in the world is to hand over a transaction, a job in the middle of it, and trust that they're going to do it. It doesn't have to be your way, as long as it's done right, morally, ethically, and they're taken care of at the standard you want. It doesn't have to be your way. And think about that with the people you work with. You are in a awesome, advantageous spot in real estate with a group, a team behind you. Use them as much as you can, because you get to benefit them. You get to raise them up, and you get your most important thing back, which is your time. So,
okay, and I have one last thing to add. We often get there's a lot of Christians that think that, I don't want to make an idol of my business. Right? You've said that already, and so obviously I know that that's what you're thinking. But I don't make an idol of my business either. But I also have not stopped growing. I've not stopped improving and making it better. The things that you want to achieve, I am going to argue that we as Christians will have a bigger impact, more meaningful impact in changing the lives of the people around us, and more people than we even realized we could, if we take what we're really good at and do it more and do it better and continue that growth. And don't think like I did all this with 9 children, okay?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So like I balance family, I balance all of these things are doable. You talk about wanting to do something more meaningful with your life than just sell houses, to have those meaningful relationships, to have this good impact. I would challenge you that if you doubled or tripled the size of what you are now, you would be able to do more of that.
Sure.
Take your time back and help more people.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good challenge, Joe.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll give you 6 months,
I
okay?
like that. Yeah,
All right.
I like that.
I give Holly 6 months. She'll do it in 6 months, whatever it is. Just gotta give her a deadline.
No, that is good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
No, that's good. Yes, I agree. I think. Yep, and that it is a tough. It's a tough thing to. It takes a different mindset, and it takes kind of growth and kind of stretching to do that. So it does.
But you're 28 stinking years old.
Just 28.
Like,
there we got
like,
time.
like,
We got a lot of
yeah, for
time.
real.
Said if it's easy, you don't want to do it, right? Steer into the unknown and the fear.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
What's your thing is, if you know how to do it, you don't want to do it, or if you don't know and it makes you feel uncomfortable. What was it?
Yeah, if I'm scared to do it and I want to say no, that's the thing I'm going to do.
That's what you
I
have
did
to say
not
yes
want
to.
to do this at all. I tried to convince him. I'm like, you need to do this. We were riding in the back of one of the limos. I'm like, you should do a podcast, dude. You're full of good information. Do it
Full of
with me.
something. That's not what you said was good.
And like a month later, I was like, were you serious? And I wanted nothing to do with this. Like, I didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Talking to people was interesting, but not on camera. You know what I mean? But it's been awesome. I've learned so much talking to the people we've been able to talk to. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any listeners, but we're learning something. We're getting something out of it.
That's the
right?
selfish
That's
takeaway,
the point.
right?
That's the thing here, right? Yep. Awesome.
Well, and hopefully you guys take something away from it.
The videos so that you guys can rewatch it.
And rewatch it.
Yeah, and
Have a
try to
good
remember
laugh.
what we even said.
Yeah.
Oh, he was full of crap then. No, jeez. No, so we want people to be able to connect with you guys. Okay, how can they reach out? How can they get in touch with you guys? How can they have them sell your house? Their house.
SolomonGroupWI.com. The Solomon Group, I should say. The Solomon Group.
Yeah, you could Google us, the
Yeah.
Solomon Group, Coldwell Banker, or Austin Solomon, Holly Hedinga. We're on the different social media platforms too. So Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll help people sell. You just let them know, hey, Austin's your guy, Holly's your gal.
There you go.
Help 'em
All right, we'll put that in the comments.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Joe approved.
Yep, there you go. Very cool. Well, I do know personally, like, Holly's helped us a lot. We've worked a lot with Holly,
Yep.
and then, I mean, Austin by
Default.
family relationship, whatever that is. Yeah. So, like, it's been good. We really appreciate how you guys work with us. Like, it's a really good experience. So I don't know of anybody that's not going to enjoy working with you guys. So
I mean, she even gave you her baby for like.
I know.
a
I
whole
got to
night.
hold the baby. I don't know how long. I was gonna steal it
Yeah,
and
that
keep it, but she wouldn't let me keep it.
Hey, free babysitting. I'm
Yes.
open for that.
Yeah, well, you should have brought the baby here.
I
Yeah.
should have brought. Oh, she would have been crying. It would have been
That's
nothing
okay. It would have been fine.
but noise.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the links for our guests in the comments section on YouTube and Facebook. Drop a like, follow, comment, share with somebody. If you have questions, make sure to ask. We're always here to help. And remember, friends don't let friends suck.